Thanks Brilliant for sponsoring today's video. As I opened Instagram one day, I stumbled across this ad with a very blunt statement. To-do lists are dead, it said. You no longer have to manually plan your day with a to-do list in your calendar because this new app called Motion was able to plan your day with artificial intelligence. They also stated that the app would help me get 25% more done. And let me tell you, I was intrigued. First of all, I was intrigued because for an app that was making such a big statement, saying traditional productivity tools were dead, a 25% increase in productivity wasn't really much. And the other funny thing was when they added at the end of the advertisement that this new solution would only cost you 62 cents per day, so basically almost $19 a month. And let's say that that's a lot to pay for a calendar app. So of course, I had to try out this new app. Okay, so while I know that Motion has some very cool scheduling features for meetings, I really wasn't interested in those. So I really wanted to test the app by understanding how it used artificial intelligence to plan out your day. Okay, so I basically opened up a week on my calendar and I started building this kind of fake schedule with a bunch of tasks, events, breaks, and routines. And I wanted to see how Motion would interact with all of these types of events. So here's what Motion promises. It tells you it builds your schedule for you, prioritizing your tasks based on deadlines, meetings, and work hours. And the app also shifts uncompleted tasks to new times and days and schedules everything by deadline, so you don't have to worry about finishing those tasks on time. It also combines both your to-do list and calendar in one place and even blocks time on your calendar for self-care every single day. So let's start by adding the first few tasks. So once you get through your main tutorial / setting up process, the app helps you sync your existing digital calendar. You set your working hours and add 3 new tasks you need to do in the next week. These are going to be scheduled by the app itself, so you can see the benefits of having a virtual time management. Okay, so right off the bat, my first impression wasn't great. And that's because Motion scheduled those 3 tasks on top of other events, and I had those already scheduled in my calendar. And as I'm scheduling a recurring task, a similar thing is happening. And I'm really not sure what's the criteria that the app uses to recommend those specific scheduling slots. Because of this, I decided it was probably a better idea to see how it worked with an actually blank schedule. Okay, so I decided to schedule this event called Practice Korean, and I wanted to give the app enough freedom to really decide when this session was taking place. And what happened was the first task was scheduled, right to the point in time, and the app scheduled all the other instances to midnight every single day. Okay, and I'm like, of course that if I create more conditions for my scheduling events, of course, the app will learn how to schedule things more intelligently, but at the same time, is it really a good idea to program an app that is allowed to schedule anything for midnight at all? After all, if I have to condition every event so precisely, isn't it much simpler to just do it manually using a free app like Google Calendar? Okay, so here I created this new project called New Report. And my idea here was to chunk a project into smaller tasks. I tried as best as possible to assign reasonable deadlines and only consider turning in the project as the only hard deadline, and all of the other ones would be considered soft deadlines. So although the app did a good job of respecting my working hours and decided I could just start doing everything that same afternoon despite having soft deadlines, it was weird because it decided that my only deadline, which was turn in my report, had also to take place that same afternoon, even if I said the deadline was on Friday. And what happened was the app scheduled me to turn in the report before I even had the time to write it. Another interesting thing that happened was, although I did say that write report could be divided into chunks, the app decided to assign me a 30-minute chunk on Tuesday and then a 3 hours of continuous writing on the following morning. I thought it would do something like breaking the task to allow for breaks and recharge, for instance, or alternate those chunks with other soft deadlines, but instead, it decided to place everything in a row. Okay, bear with me now. I realized much later that you do have an option inside the app to allow it to create and assign breaks for all of your tasks. The problem is, I just realized that much later, so bear with me until we reach that point in the video. So now I'm focused on trying to manage multiple projects. So I decided to reformulate some of those project subtasks, and I want to add a new project that would be due for Friday and see how Motion organized both of those projects at the same time. Okay, so this is very interesting. The principle they used in this case was simply assigning all the longer tasks for the beginning of my work session, and then they followed up those longer sessions with the shorter tasks. Okay, and once again we have the same results. So we get write report before we could even brainstorm for the report, and we have to create a presentation before we could even outline the reports. Okay, so looking back on the different calendar settings and the different scheduling settings in the app, it doesn't really seem like Motion allows me to create different levels of priority and a solidarity between tasks when I'm scheduling a project. So this makes it pretty much unsuitable and useless for all of those projects, which in my individual opinion, most of them are like that. All of those projects that require you to chunk a bigger project into smaller tasks and subtasks. You know, whether for YouTube or for my work-related tasks, most of them have a very precise workflow I have to follow to have a project completed. If I'm planning out a video, I need to respect that first I have to brainstorm for the video, come up with a topic, write the script, then create a shot list, then film the video, create motion art, create any kind of designs that appear in the video, and so forth. So if this app doesn't really allow me to create tasks that tell each other they have an order they have to respect for that project to be completed seamlessly, then it's kind of irrelevant. Okay, so let's try to take things a little bit further. So I just created a few events on my calendar and I called those classes 1 to 5. And my idea here was to block some of those working hours with busy times and see what Motion would do when presented with these kinds of blocks. So in terms of scheduling events, everything was very simple and quick. It's kind of a very similar click and drag experience you would have with Google Calendar, for instance, or any other calendar app, so no problem with that. Okay, so I basically just set a break between tasks, so half an hour every 2 hours of work. And let's try now to snooze a task. This is where Motion really shines. When I said I wanted to write my report later and I had told the app previously it could divide the writing task into chunks, it switched the PowerPoint presentation with writing report and divided both the writing and brainstorming tasks into 2 different chunks. As I rescheduled PowerPoint presentation to the future, the app automatically postponed it to Wednesday. So as Motion tells you that when you click and drag a task, you basically remove the automation feature, this makes it a little bit pointless, because if Motion incorrectly schedules a task and then as I'm going through the ASAP modes and the do it later modes and so forth, and it really doesn't schedule things properly, then this is a little bit annoying if I'm trying to be efficient in a workplace. The thing is, overall, I think Motion could use a bit of improvement. I can see where the potential is, and that's basically making the life of all people who use calendar blocking as their main time management tool a little bit easier. But for me, I don't see the promised payoff. So I felt like I was taking way more time scheduling and rescheduling things than I would do on a manual calendar blocking system. And for me, wasting more time with my time management at this hefty price of $20 per month doesn't really compensate. Okay, if you've ever used Motion before, or if I'm seeing things wrong, or I'm doing something wrong with Motion, I really don't want to be unfair with this app, so please tell me down below what I'm doing wrong. Tell me how you use the tool, how it provides more efficiency to your day, and I really want to hear your experience in the comments down below. And if you do want to learn more about artificial intelligence, which is the basic thing behind this new app, I really recommend you learn more about machine learning, and you have a great course in Brilliant. So this course by Brilliant guides you through advanced quantitative techniques to analyze data, mainly helping you understand the classification and estimation work that's behind apps with artificial intelligence at its core. Brilliant is an interactive learning platform that teaches about math, science, computer science, and many other subjects. The whole concept behind Brilliant is to allow you to be very hands-on, so you can learn a lot of new things without ever having to memorize things or read entire textbooks, without ever putting what you learn into practice. And if you're like, oh, I'm really not that much into science, just wait, and that's because Brilliant has more to it than it looks like. For instance, you can learn more about making decisions, problem solving, resource trade-offs, how to organize information, and you need literally no previous knowledge for that. And that's the beauty of Brilliant. They introduce you to science concepts by showing you how it works in the world around you. So you never have to say again, oh, I'm terrible at math, or oh, I just can't understand how physics work. Those notions shouldn't be a handicap for you because you just need the right resources and the right way of learning to start getting it. So if you want to purchase a full year of Brilliant, there's a 20% off discount if you click the link down below or if you click the link in the screen right now. I really hope you've enjoyed today's video and I will see you next week. Bye guys!